gentlemen, welcome to TGW Turnbuckle Talk. Here are your hosts, EvilPenguinGaming and OddSmith311.
Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Welcome to TGW Turnbuckle Talk. This is episode 6. I am EvilPenguinGaming.
And I'm OddSmith311.
How's it going, man?
Not too bad. Chillin', killing. You know how we do it here in Michigan.
Indeed. So last week's episode was that was a long episode. Number one, we went a fair amount of time on the topic of there being too many championships and too much content within the WWE.
It's a big topic, man. We were talking about that. I mean, we probably easily could have spent another 2 hours talking about it. You know, there's a lot of separate things we can discuss, but I think we made the point, you know, overall of how we feel about it in the big scheme of things.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we touched on a lot of the more important things that a lot of fans are unhappy about right now.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to hear that episode, you can find it at facebook.com/Bananarama Television. You can find it on YouTube by searching #ControlFreaks and finding the Bananarama YouTube channel. Or you can look us up on Twitter at BananaROMa_TV. There's a link to the Twitch page there. Or if you want to see everything that encompasses the BTV universe, you can simply go to BananaROMaTV.com.
The hub.
The hub, exactly.
The mothership. Sorry, I'm stealing somebody else's gig.
We're going to have another list topic this week. It's going to be a lot of fun because seemingly you think that our lists are going to be pretty different.
I think so.
So I'm really looking forward to this. But before we get into it, we're going to handle a little bit more promotion. So we will be right back.
Join me, OddSmith311, and the rest of the BTV crew every Thursday night, starting around 9 o'clock, for Insomniac Hours. I'll be playing some of my favorite games, from Super Nintendo to Wii, PC, to Xbox One. We'll be all over the place. It's what we like to do. We stay up late, we play games. You can follow us at Twitter, Bananarama_TV, for updates, and interact with us during the show. Be there or be square.
Don't be square.
Join us every Friday evening as Felix and Loom.
And whoever else I can convince to come play games with me.
Usually, hopefully me, OddSmith311.
Oh, someone will be there with me.
We'll be doing multiplayer gaming this season. Something we're going to try.
Yes, every Friday night. We're going to be playing various games with our friends. And it probably will vary greatly depending on what games everyone has and what we want to play. So, it should be an interesting potluck of gaming.
So yeah, stop on by, and let's all game together and do what we do best.
And if you don't want to play and you just want to lurk in the chat room, well, that's fine too.
You can find us on Discord as well.
Yep, so the main place for that is twitch.tv/Bananarama. Thanks for listening.
Join me, EvilPenguinGaming, every Wednesday this season at 1 p.m. for Retro First Timer. I'll be playing old games that I've never played before, like Zelda, Star Fox, Mega Man. You never know what's going to pop up. That's every Wednesday at 1 p.m. for Retro First Timer with EvilPenguinGaming.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. And we want to take a second here to thank our Patreon supporters. We appreciate you very much. You help us do what we do. All the donations, all that money stacks up, and it helps us afford some really good things for the channel and the station that we normally couldn't.
And all that money goes right back into the channel. We appreciate everything everybody's done for us, and we just want to continue to make the best entertainment we can and do what we enjoy doing, playing video games, interacting with everybody, and trying to make as much original content as we can. So stop on by. We have all kinds of perks that you can be part of.
We got perks. We're gonna give you shout outs. We'll put your names on our videos. It's a way to help out and support if you're not sure how, and you like what we do. It's patreon.com/BananaROMa TV.
Once again, we'd like to thank everybody who's supported us and everybody who's donated and continues to help us grow.
Thank you.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Don't you start. You got sentenced to 3 to 10 years, I saw.
Oh my god. Let's not even get into that. It's wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. So this week's topic. Like I said, it's another list topic. Our first couple of list topics, we had a lot of fun. But those were only top 3s. This one, we have decided to go with top 5. Favorite submissions.
What's wrestling without the submission holds? Some of the most basic holds.
I so agree. Because, the submission holds. So we weren't picking everybody because some of us weren't as strong when we were younglings, and we both have younger siblings.
Yes, we do.
So I would put my younger sibling in a Camel Clutch every now and then. Boston Crab.
Shit, dude, I still put my brother in the fucking full Nelson whenever I can sneak up behind him. Actually, I put all the kids in the full Nelson.
Oh, man. So, yes, we went over finishers. We went over our favorite individual finishers. Went over our favorite tag team finishers. But submissions are another topic entirely. Because, and this might sound a little sadomasochistic, but when you can see the pain on somebody's face in a submission, to me, it has a hell of a lot more impact than, say, your normal powerbomb as a finisher. I mean, that's just my opinion. If I could see somebody just in pure agony because they're being manipulated in ways they absolutely should not be, I mean, maybe it's just me, but that's part of the product that I enjoy seeing. I'm not saying that I want to see that actually happen in real life. Don't get me wrong. But as far as the product goes, I thoroughly enjoy it.
But it adds more drama.
Right.
I mean,
because you never know. You never know if the match is over. When Rick Martel had somebody in a Boston Crab, sometimes it took them a while before they would, and this before tap outs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it took them a while to say, okay, yes, I surrender. Some guys you see stuck in a submission hold for a few minutes and just won't tap out. Sometimes you see guys pass out.
And I think that kind of stuff.
Steve Austin.
Exactly. It leads to some of the more iconic moments.
Absolutely.
When we brought it up before, Austin passing out in the sharpshooter.
Right. One of probably the most used single image, if not the most, one of the most used single images in the history of the WWE. That bloody face right before he passes out.
As it should be.
Absolutely.
Probably one of the best matches that company has ever seen overall, too.
Yeah, without question. So we're going to handle this one kind of a little differently. Because normally we would go... I would say my list first, and then you would say yours. But we have decided to alternate this week. So I'll say my number 5, then you'll say your number 5, and we'll just go down the list from there.
Yeah, let's try something new. Mix it up a little bit.
Especially since, if you think we're going to have such different lists, it'll be really interesting for us both to work our way to our number 1s.
Yeah.
To see if I already had your number 1, earlier in my list, or vice versa. So this is going to be fun. So, I will start.
Do it up.
With my number 5 favorite submission of all time. Now, you want to talk about the manipulation of the joints. This move, the applier. That's the word I'm going to use throughout this episode that I just figured out. The applier of the move is trapping both arms and just wrenching back as hard as possible. And it's a ground-based move. So you have the victim, we're going to say.
The applyee.
I thought about that, but victim's a better word. Completely helpless without use of his arms or hands. The Rings of Saturn.
Ah, nice. Nice.
I was just watching a match a couple days ago. I saw somebody use it. That reminded me. I was like, I love that move. I actually just put that on my list a couple of days ago because I had something different. I actually had the Camel Clutch as number 5, which love the Camel Clutch. Love watching Rusev do the accolade. But I mean, when you saw Perry just wrap those arms, and the guy couldn't do anything other than nod his head.
Yeah.
If he wanted to give up. I mean, that was a very, very visual symbol of you are better than me at this moment.
Yes. And
I absolutely love that.
It looked unique too. It was a different type of submission hold. I mean, to me, it looked like it wasn't an arm bar. It was an arm submission, but it wasn't your typical arm bar or anything like that.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you want to talk about the agony on some guys' faces?
Oh,
especially when they would refuse to tap out for a while. But yeah. So yeah, my number 5, the Rings of Saturn.
It's a worthy inclusion.
Absolutely.
For my number 5, I went a little more old school. Although I will say that a lot of these they're pretty interchangeable, but for the sake of this list, I try to go by the ones that the combination of how believable they were and how much I liked the person doing them, I guess. Their character and other factors like that. But the first one I picked was the $1 Million Dream. Or the Cobra Clutch, I guess, if you want to go a little old school. But to me, the $1 Million Dream... I always thought it looked cool, first of all. It's a weird-looking move. And both Sergeant Slaughter and Ted DiBiase, when they would apply it... I mean, I remember one time Ted DiBiase held it on Hulk Hogan for like a real long time, and they were really selling it like he might have brain damage. And
I remember that.
When we talked about doing a submission list, that was the first thing that popped in my head. And that was the first one on my list. I was like, I love that move as a kid. Once again, I still do it to my brother and the kids all the time. You can apply it on anybody. It's a sleeper hole, but it's a little more I don't know, complex is the right word, but there's a little more to it. And I've only ever really seen those two people do it as I think, what's his name? Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. The guy who he won the belt off Randy Orton a while back. The Indian descent. The Colossus. Jinder Mahal, yeah. I feel like I've seen him use it. Maybe I'm just imagining things.
No, you're right. Sort of. Because the Colossus starts in the same way. It's like a Cobra Clutch slam.
Yeah.
That's like your one and only from Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Same thing.
What? It was so believable to me as a kid, because when he would put it on people, because he would always follow it up with stuffing the money in their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And there weren't too many people that you'd see get out of that move successfully. Like Ultimate Warrior, maybe. I don't know if I ever seen him put it on Undertaker or not. I don't know. I bet you at some point he did. At least once. But that one...
So, well, speaking of, I forgot to mention that this will be the first episode that will air after WWE 2K19 is released.
Ah.
So we will, as I'm sure all of you have already seen, have gameplay footage of all of these submissions that we can, hopefully applied by the people in reference.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know Saturn's not in the game. Nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
So you'll see my character applying the rings of Saturn. I'm just saying. Which, obviously, by this point, if you're watching this or listening to this, you already have. But the reason I bring it up, now that I remember, is because you brought up the stuffing money in the mouth. If that is not Ted DiBiase's victory scene in the game, I'm super pissed.
Well, I mean, how could it not be? It was a big part of his character, his shtick.
And if it is, I'm gonna put it in now. Hopefully
I hope
that
you
just
enjoyed
happened.
that. Yes. Money. To me, Ted DiBiase was the whole package, man. He had the finisher, he had the look and the character. He knew how to sell in the ring. He was just one of those classic, all-around great characters in wrestling.
I agree.
I thought that'd be a good place to start.
That's definitely a good one, man. Because, I mean, who didn't love to hate Ted DiBiase growing up? And when you saw that hole applied, you just wanted to cry because you knew the match was over.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Especially when him and Virgil started having their thing later on. They really got you cheering for Virgil.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny in retrospect, but at the time...
Yeah, it really is. Oh, Virgil. So we've got the Rings of Saturn and the $1 Million Dream as our number 5s.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it a lot.
The opening salvo.
Now my number 4 is a move that was used by one guy. And then a certain, I'm guessing, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say a certain billionaire wanted him to change the way he applied his Finishing hold.
No shit. Sorry, go ahead.
So you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So, I'm going back to the original, back when this guy was in WCW, and I hope to God they have the right version in the game so I can use it. The Lion Tamer from Chris Jericho.
Dude,
Talk about painful.
Dude, can I tell you something honestly? Like, I know we're kind of breaking the format, but I might as well because this is fucking bizarre. And I'm not touching my list at all right now. That's my number 4.
Really?
Yes. That's so weird. That's the one that I thought we would have.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That's no. Well, we can both speak on this since it's both of our number 4s. That's really bizarre.
We don't talk about this shit beforehand, ladies and gentlemen.
No, we do not. That's like on the Mount Rushmore episode when I was completely blown away that you had Hogan on it.
Yes, that was genuine.
So, I mean, obviously, if you're watching this, you're a fan of wrestling. And you know that when Jericho went to the WWE, the, quote, walls of Jericho is nothing more than a flippin' Boston Crab.
Nothing special.
Nothing special at all. I already talked about that with Rick Martel. I'd rather see Rick Martel put on a Boston Crab, personally. But the original Lion Tamer, when Jericho almost had the guy stood up on his head with his knee on the back of the guy's head.
Oh my God.
Just wrenching on that neck and holding those legs up, bent at the knees, to where the guy's entire abdomen was fair game. And I mean, if Jericho had a partner, when he would apply that move, okay.
Ooh.
I'm gonna give you an example. Just fantasy booking here. Jericho applies the Lion Tamer to whoever. Doesn't matter. For the sake of the story, we're gonna say The Miz.
Okay.
So The Miz's abdomen is fully exposed. And you've got Daniel Bryan right there connecting with the yes kicks.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Well, I hope you definitely have this going on the screen right now so people can see that it's as painful as he's describing it. I mean, it's a brutal move, man.
I was so happy every time I saw that move because it was just like, that is a submission that I can get behind because it looks so incredibly painful. Because I mean, I want any of you to put your head on the floor and like try to stand on the side of your head. Don't stand on the top of your head. Stand on the side of your head.
Oh.
Stand, like, put your ear on the floor and try to stand on your head. That's what it was.
Not much. I don't know how much work was going on there. I think that was probably pretty legitimate pain. I mean, I don't know how you could fake that. I mean, I'm sure you can to some extent, but whew. I mean, I've seen times where it looked like he was going to rip their fucking body in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that's...
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, do you think that's why Vince didn't want him doing that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you see most submissions in the WWE, I'll give Cena's extremely watered down version of the STF.
Oh my God.
I mean, come on.
The STFU.
You know what? I just thought of a move that I should have had on this list. And now I'm kicking myself in the ass because it's not on here.
Honorable mention what?
Honorable mention that's going to go on the screen right now, as long as it's in the game. The friggin' Crossface.
It is a nice move, yes.
And I know it's in the game because I use it on my character like every year. But, I mean, the original Crippler Crossface from Chris Benoit, when he was, yes, I said that name, Chris Benoit. When he was allowed to apply it properly, holy hell.
Mm-hmm.
And on that same topic of Chris Benoit, everyone talks about Ric Flair's chops. No. Nobody had a harder chop, except maybe Bob Holly, than Chris Benoit. But we'll get on to number 3.
Well, I do think that is pretty crazy that I guess to have it on that, to both have it on that spot. I think the uniqueness of it. I still think there were other moves that were more, I don't know, have more flair to them. But that when he would do that in WCW, nobody was doing that, a move like that. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that. And it's just, if anything, just for its uniqueness, you know.
Yeah. Now you want to talk about uniqueness? That's actually why I love my next one, my number 3, because I've seen it used by a couple of other people, but when I fell in love with this move is, once again, man, you know, and I always use that hashtag WCW ruins everything. I fell in love with my first 3 moves in WCW.
Oh, that's right.
Or by watching WCW.
You didn't really watch ECW, right?
Not for the most part, no.
Okay.
Like I mean, I say it all the time. I need to go back and catch up, or just watch at least some of the old pay-per-views in all my spare time. But yeah, my number 3 is the Cloverleaf.
Interesting, Mr.
I loved watching Dean Malenko put people in the Cloverleaf. And it is very unique. It's like almost like a standing figure 4, but with your arms. It's so weird, and like, I know how to apply it, but you never see something like that.
Does anyone use it now? I can't think of anybody.
The only person that I know of that I've seen use it that's like regularly, that's on the main roster now, is Sheamus.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. But I mean, you want to talk about? I mean, it's almost like it's like a sharpshooter with your arms.
They are very similar looking, but at the same time, yeah, there is more going on. I think like you said, with the arms, you're pulling more on the legs because of the way that they're tied up.
Right, and the Cloverleaf to me just looks a hell of a lot more painful because of the torque you're getting on the ankle and on the back and on the knees. It looks so brutal watching it.
Well, it's the same thing with the
Lion. See if it's on screen right now.
Well, it's the same thing with the Lion Tamer. Who else did you see do that move?
That version, no one.
I never heard any of that move until Dean Malenko. Until I seen Dean Malenko do it. He could never quite beat Rey Mysterio, though.
Yeah.
There's only
in WCW or ECW.
Yeah. But God, they had some good matches, man.
Yeah, they did.
That's a great move to include on here, because it crossed my mind, but if it was a longer list, it would probably be 6 or 7 for me. Yeah, but it's still, I had to consider it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's such a classic move and it's so unique. It looks different. It's not something you've seen people do before, and you don't really see people, besides Sheamus. I'm gonna go ahead and go on a limb and say he probably doesn't win too many matches with it.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen him win a match with it.
So it's more of a high spot, but still, yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one, and it is another WCW one. I guess they had a few things right.
A few things they didn't ruin, and then you had Glacier.
Oh my god. Anyway, talk about building somebody up way too much before they debuted, man. There was no way he could have ever lived up to what they had him built up as.
You know what? That would be a really interesting topic.
That would. Because I remember, man, because I was watching WCW when they were, they built him up for a while.
Hyping him.
Yeah.
Those hype videos.
Oh man, we'll have to share some of those on Twitter or something. Go back and find some of the old vignettes they did for Glacier. If you grew up when Mortal Kombat was, I know it's kind of popular now, but it's Mortal Kombat now.
Back when it was new.
Yeah, I was gonna say now it's more kind of like lost in an ocean of other things. Yeah, this is back when it was still like controversial and. Everything.
Back when, like, the only 2 fighting games were Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Yes.
And Street Fighter didn't have blood.
No. Classic game, but yeah, definitely no blood. Definitely no fatalities for sure.
Right.
Well, my number 3 is you touched on it. That's why I was trying to be hush hush. And it is because of who did it. I know it becomes a weird topic, but I'm not talking about the person. I guess I'll have to. A little bit in the context of the move, but the Crippler Crossface, man.
Oh my god, what a move!
I believed when he put that move on. Between the way people would sell it, I'm sure it already did hurt. Maybe, I don't know. But the way he would just the expressions he would have on his face while he was doing it, like he was just wrenching back on him for all their words, and it was one of those moves where it looked very difficult to get out of. Once he had it cinched in, because the way he would twist the arm in and scissor it with the legs. Oh man, that was such a great spectacle.
And he always just tap.
Yeah, he would wrench back, and it's like, oh my god, it's gonna rip their neck off. The Wolverine.
He made that move a spectacle.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Triple H use it. I'll bet you anything Triple H puts it on The Undertaker at Super Showdown.
Probably.
Actually, will this have aired? This will have aired by then. Or no, Super Showdown, because this will air. Let's see. Well, let me grab my calendar here. Oh, this episode will air. Sorry, folks. Kind of behind the scenes. So let's see. Last week's was on the 2nd. So this one will air on the 9th. The day that WWE 2K19 officially drops, but you and I both were smart enough to pre-order.
Yay.
So we'll get it on the 5th. But yeah, Super Showdown's on the 6th. So I guarantee you saw Triple H hook up The Undertaker in that move. And if you didn't, I'm gonna put an apology on the screen right now. Let's hope I didn't have to do that.
Well, in Triple H, it's not that he doesn't apply it well. It's just that there was that whole, the whole thing with Benoit's character was that intensity, and
oh yeah,
everything he did had that like energy to it. You know what I mean? Every movement had like a meaning to it. It's just a shame that we can't even deeply talk about him because of how it ended up. And we definitely don't want to give him too much, time.
Let's clarify something. Chris Benoit as a human being, obviously not that stable. Chris Benoit is a ring technician and a character within the universe that was WWE and WCW. Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But that was on camera. That is what we are focused on.
Yeah.
On camera. Not as a human being.
And really overall, I mean, in this case, too, it's mostly just one of his two finisher moves. One that happened to be a submission that I don't, once again, you see the STF, you see other Regal stretch and other ones like that, but the way he applied it, it just always seemed like there was no way out of it. And then if you didn't tap, he was going to like just break you in half.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll leave it at there, but yeah, definitely a worthy. Definitely, I had to figure out where to put that one on the list because it's kind of tricky. But I think 3 is a good spot.
Oh yeah, dead center. So my number 2. I felt now we're on to when I fell in love with moves in the early WWF. I actually fell in love with this move by a guy we have discussed very briefly within the context of a match that he was a part of. And then it was, I'm not going to say passed down because it wasn't, but it was made even more popular by another guy much later. And it's actually a shame. I don't know that they ever actually met in the ring. I don't think so. I certainly don't recall it. It'll be something interesting to look up. The ankle lock.
Okay, you didn't say what I thought you were going to say.
What? Okay, well, where'd you think I was going?
Well, we'll get there.
We'll get there?
Yeah,
right.
But that's a damn good move, man.
Yeah, obviously I'm talking about the guy that did this move when I fell in love with it was Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't really watch a whole lot of UFC back in the day, so I got to know Ken Shamrock when he came into the WWF. And when he went from being... When his character went from being mild-mannered into, like, crazy... when he put on that ankle lock, I mean, you believed every single second of it. From his, the same with the crossface. Shamrock's facial expressions are what sold that move.
Yeah, because he looked fucking nuts.
Exactly. He looked absolutely crazy.
Like, if I was a referee, I'd be scared to approach him to make him try to break them whole.
Right. And not to mention, you've got the other guy laying flat on his stomach to where if he could pick his head up off the mat to look dead into the camera, that's when you see the pure anguish in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And I know talking about stuff like that may make me sound a little bit weird, but I'm talking about it within the context of a match.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely. You don't want to see someone in real life be like watching a fucking snuff film or something, but in the context of wrestling, where this is supposed to be a physical competition, you feel it more.
Right. But then, yeah, obviously, when Kurt Angle started using it.
The anal lock.
And, when he would wrap the legs and make it look even more painful. Like, him wrapping the leg, I can't see as doing any damage whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more making it to where the victim really can't move. Quote.
Yeah.
So if he's got it applied in the center of the ring,
nowhere to go.
He's got that leg grapevine. You think that victim's got absolutely nowhere to go, and next thing you know, done.
Well, I think we can relate because I think all of us at one point have at least minorly twisted our ankle, and we know how fragile that is. And when someone's got a hold of your ankle and they're wrenching on it like that, you can imagine that it would be just agony.
Oh, absolutely.
And like you said, Shamrock did it well, just because of his intensity. But to me, maybe it was just the pedigree of Angle being an Olympic superstar and quote unquote Olympic wrestler that just seemed even more intense. Because he was an intense guy too. Angle is pretty. He could be so funny. God, such an idiot.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Classic.
A real cowboy.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Oh,
sorry.
Man.
The cowboys say.
You start singing the Hey Dude song, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. I told you I have that whole series on DVD.
That's what made me think of that. Hey, dude.
Oh, yep, I'm old, but so are you.
Yeah. Tis true.
So what's your number 2, sir?
Well, the number 2 and number 1 went back and forth because I think what I ended up placing in number 2 was not. It had nothing to do with they're both extremely believable. But I think the one that I ended up with number 1 had more to do with the overall character. The reason I picked it. But I think you knew it was going to be on the list. But my number 2 was the Sharpshooter.
Yep, I knew. I thought that was going to be your number 1.
It flip-flopped.
I'm really curious now.
I don't think you'll be surprised when you actually hear it. You'll be like, oh, okay. You'll be like, if you think back to our tag team finishers, I think you'll see where I'm coming from. But we'll get there in a minute. But what can I say, dude? I mean, it's a classic move, and when Brett put it on, he was so precise. When, obviously, okay, Sting did it first in WCW, and I had seen the move, but I didn't even register. See, what's weird is Brett does it in such a more, I guess precise is the way. When Brett does it, it looks locked in. When Sting would do it, it wouldn't always. It was more like sometimes how The Rock would do it. It wasn't always. Sometimes it was locked in pretty well, but to me, Brett had more of a. He looked like he had more control of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And when he, obviously we've talked about this before, but when he beat Perfect with it, at SummerSlam, I always forget 91 or 92.
It was 91.
Okay. It just solidified that move, and it was just like when that move was put on. I mean, how often did you see somebody get out of it? Even Austin, who didn't give up, passed out. It was almost as lights out, and he could put it on just about. He got it on Yokozuna one time.
I was just gonna say that.
I don't know how, but he
didn't turn him. He just went. Yokozuna was laying flat on his belly, and Brett just picked up his legs.
Yeah. He probably could. I don't think you could believe Brett twisting Yokozuna as much as I'd like to.
He didn't even have it on. I don't even know that he had it fully applied before Fuji salted him in his eyes.
Probably not. Probably. I can't imagine he could lock it in all the way. He was just such a big guy. But I see him put it on The Undertaker. I see him put it on Kevin Nash. People of all shapes and sizes. It didn't matter.
It was a sight to watch him put it on Kevin Nash.
Yeah, I mean, what's Kevin Nash? 6'11", 7 feet?
Right, yeah,
And
right in there.
Brett's 5'10", 5'11", maybe 6 foot. But
yeah, maybe.
But it was just, dude, it was one of my, it's probably my overall favorite wrestler using the move that it was just, when he put it on, you knew it was the end of the match. It was such a trademark. It looked real. People always sold it pretty well. Because I like that the announcers and stuff would sell it too. That's something that really goes into my number 1 and number 2 is that when you got that the sharpshooter, I mean, it was just like, oh my God, it's over with. There's just no way this is done. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, when you go back and watch that WrestleMania 13 match between Brett and Austin, and listen to JR's call when he locked that sharpshooter in, it's just it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you would have think that you were seeing the end of the world. I mean, it's. And
when you go back a year prior, how long did he hold Shawn in the sharpshooter?
A while.
Before the bell rang and they had to go to overtime. I know how much you hate that, but...
Yeah, well, I was a kid, yeah, I was pretty angry. Now I'm like, yeah, of course they did. That's actually pretty smart storytelling, but... I was
exactly.
I was a Bret Hart mark, though, so... And I hated... I don't know if I didn't hate Shawn Michaels. That's not fair. I just wasn't... I'm like, yeah, he's good, but fucking Bret Hart, you know what I mean? Like...
Right.
And it's so weird when you really look at their careers, how they paralleled. Coming out of tag teams the way they did, rising up to the top the way they did, butting up against each other, but they work so well together. And I've heard them both say on numerous interviews that they're one of the favorite ones they ever worked with, and they could have had such great, even more great matches if they could have got past their ego.
Right. And just as a little bonus for the episode, since we know the Hart Foundation is in the game, just so we can, rip Jim Neidhart, we're going to show the heart attack right now. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yes. A moment of silence for the anvil.
Yeah.
Okay, drum roll. This is the big reveal. What's number 1?
Well. Let's review here. Number 5 for me was the Rings of Saturn, because you're welcome.
Yes. And number
Moppy.
5.
I'll never forget Moppy. God, WWE ruined him so bad.
He was either really horrible or really brilliant, I guess, depending on who you're asking.
Number 4 was the original Lion Tamer from Chris Jericho back in WCW before he got watered down by Vince. Number 3 was the Cloverleaf as applied by Dean Malenko, again in WCW, because it was awesome. Mm-hmm. And number 2 was the ankle lock, as I first fell in love with when used by Ken Shamrock, and love even more with Kurt Angle. Now, my number 1 is a move that you actually mentioned, like, at the top of this episode. I can tell you the guy that I remember using it the most is not in the game. So you'll see my character performing this move on somebody. Preferably somebody shorter, because I'm not exactly very tall.
Stumpy.
Hey, I ain't like 18 feet tall like you.
I'm 6 feet tall. I just have gangly arms and legs, but a fat middle. It's unfortunate.
Thank you, bastard. But you want to talk about just being able to see the sheer anguish on the victim's face, and the applier having absolute control of somebody when they, because they get to determine how much pressure if the guy starts slipping out, they can apply more pressure very easily because you're both on your feet. Yeah, it's the full Nelson.
Interesting.
My absolute favorite finishing move, or
Submission.
my favorite submission of all time. Because number one, I loved applying it to people when I was a kid.
Yes. A kid? You don't still do it now?
Yeah, I do it now too. But yeah, if you want to go back to my favorite WrestleMania, you and I have discussed this many times. The match between the Warlord and the British Bulldog.
Hell yeah. The Battle of the Full Nelsons.
Exactly. How could I not fall in love with that move? Because the Bulldog was the only one to ever break the Warlord's full Nelson that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, it's been used over the years. It was used very popularly by Chris Masters.
I was going to ask you if anybody else had ever utilized it like he did, like Warlord.
Yeah, back when Chris Masters was around, the old Master Lock.
Nice.
And yeah, I know, pun heavy. And the first one to break it when he would apply it was freaking Bobby Lashley.
Makes sense.
Or as I've heard him called, Bobby Splashley, because he sweats like nobody I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, I mean, you want to talk about, I mean, and you say it, you still do this move on, you know, just in fun to your, like, nephews.
Yes. And fun.
In fun. You know how to be light or apply as much pressure as you want.
I'm just surprised no one uses it now.
I know.
It seems to have gone out of style, and it's like, man, you get a big, like, Braun Strowman doing a full Nelson. Now, you can maybe argue that because of how tall he is and how wide he is, that for smaller guys, it might not be as...
Right.
You know what I mean?
You wouldn't see him putting that on a guy the size of Balor.
Exactly. But if you get someone like maybe like Sheamus, or, you know, Cesaro, someone who's still big, or even like Big E. I think Big E doing the full Nelson, I would buy that.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Because I could see him being able to lock it on people of all different sizes, because he's wide, but he's tall, but he's not like towering. Like Braun Strowman's
he's not Drew McIntyre or Braun Strowman tall.
Yeah, exactly. He's not towering above everybody, but he's not shorter than everybody either.
But he's so thick that it makes it look so much more powerful. That's same with the Warlord back in the day.
The Warlord.
Oh man.
If anybody out there is hearing this don't know who we're talking about, the Warlord, go back and look this guy up. I mean, you talk about the steroid use in the 80s. I mean, this dude was just a massive muscle. He was
not the Powers of Pain version either. I want you to look up the old Phantom of the Opera mask.
Yeah.
With
yes.
the silver like staff looking thing, the wand that he would carry around with the metal W on it.
I think Survivor Series 90, he was wearing that.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
But you could believe the full Nelson is his finisher, because Jesus, I mean, he was once again, he was a big guy, but he wasn't towering above everybody. He was just a thick dude. Right.
But you know what? Even when he looked like that, he still didn't look as bad as years later when Ron Simmons came into the WWF as Farouk.
Oh my sweet Jesus!
With that blue like gladiator looking shit.
The only other thing worse is when what's his name? The Tony Atlas came in as Saba Simba.
Saba Simba.
It's like, wow, this is like Wow.
No, you know what? I'll even do you one better. The Iron Sheik as, what was it? Colonel Mustafa.
Yes. I humble you. I fuck you in the ass.
Oh my god. We're getting way off topic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but it's too funny.
The full Nelson, yes. Classic.
Full Nelson, my absolute favorite submission move.
A pro wrestling staple, and it's a shame that no one's using it regularly right now.
It
that
really
we know
is
of.
an absolute shame. Yeah. Well, sir, let's hear it. Let's give the listeners your review, and let's hear what your number one is.
Well, from the top, I had on number 5, the $1 Million Dream, Ted DiBiase / the Cobra Clutch. I thought Slaughter did it just about as well, but I didn't see Slaughter as much. In fact, I don't know if I really seen him do it much until like later years after DiBiase was already, gone. Because he was doing the Camel Clutch during his whole heel run, right? Because he had Mustafa with him.
Oh, yeah.
I was just say, number 4 was hilariously enough also the Lion Tamer from Chris Jericho for pretty much the same reasons you said. Number 3 is the Crippler Crossface from Chris Benoit because damn, it was believable and it fit his character so well. Number 2 was the Sharpshooter because Bret Hart was the excellence of execution and he made it look like a scientifically applied hold that was just going to dominate his opponent. But see, number 1, in the context of the federation this person was in and how they were presented, their finisher was feared because the person was feared. And what it was is the Kata Hajime, the Tazz mission.
Oh, the Tazz mission! Oh my god, what a great show.
Man, I was going back earlier and watching different versions, and it's kind of like the RKO. I mean, in the sense that there's sometimes he would put it on the most, like, just come out like crazy spots and stuff. And dude, when Tazz hooked that move in, the match was over. And Joey Styles would lose his shit. And he just... I mean, if he put that on, it was the end of the match. The Tazz mission! The Tazz mission! The Kata Hajime! I'm gonna choke you out, brother. Like... It was... I mean, man... And like I said, I went back and forth between that and the Sharpshooter because, Bret Hart... I would say Bret Hart's more of a favorite. But see, I love Tazz, too. The ECW Tazz was an unstoppable machine. Their booking with him was brilliant. Talk about long-term booking. When they booked the feud with him and Sabu did not touch until that match. They kept it, you know what I mean? They did a really good job of that feud. His suplexes, I mean, so creative, so well done. I mean, it's some of the moves he did, it was just like, man, if you didn't do them just right, you could easily break someone's neck. I mean, he broke Sabu's neck when they were wrestling. I can't remember. I don't know if it was a suplex or what. I think Sabu just came down off of something wrong. You know what I mean? I have to go back and look it up. But it's a Tazz mission, man. Tazz was a bad motherfucker.
Yes, he was.
You believed that he would whoop everybody's ass, and when he put that hold on, lights out. And it just...
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's going to be in the game. I hope it is.
I'm sure there's some form of it. There's got to be.
Yeah. It's a judo hold, I believe. It's a choke hold.
I'll look on. I mean, obviously at this point, if it's in the game, you've already seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll look on 2K18 and see. I'll look through submissions for finishers and see what I can come up with and see if I can find it. I'll do that tomorrow.
Cool.
That way I'll have the name of it for 2K19.
Yeah, as far as submissions go, it's an overall package. The Tazz mission was a fearsome, lights out move that it just choking somebody out was just such a Tazz. It just went along with his character so well.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna choke you out. Then he came to WWE, and he, in reality, is like 5'8", and he just didn't fit in, unfortunately. I don't think so. I mean, I think
you're giving him credit at 5'8".
Yeah, he's not a tall dude. Not like the match he had he had some good matches. Like the match he had with Angle was excellent. But he couldn't put in there with much bigger guys, believably, I don't think, to do a lot of the stuff that he did. Plus, by the time he got to WWE, he was already starting to, like, wind down from injury and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, of course, he became an announcer and so forth. But that's my list.
And big shout to him on commentary, too.
Oh, yeah, I love Tazz. He was so Tazz. I mean, he just... I don't know. He was a good contrast.
I think one of his best spots on commentary was the first big ring break spot between Lesnar and Big Show.
Yeah, he sold the shit out of that, man.
Yeah, he did.
This may be a Mark question, but do you think he knew about that?
I know I've heard the story. In fact, I've heard Big Show tell the story on a podcast. I think it was Jericho's podcast. I don't think anybody knew about it. I don't think anyone knew it was going to happen.
That's even better.
Maybe the ref.
I'm sure the ref would have had to know.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if the ring starts literally crumbling underneath your feet, you're going to wonder what the hell's going on. Why wasn't I told about this?
Well, I believe the Big Show, too, for a long time, he really kayfabed it. It wasn't until that podcast where I think he actually came out and said, yeah, that was planned.
Yeah.
But with those guys, with two guys of that size, coming off of how many feet up in the air? I mean, Jesus.
Too many.
It's believable. Completely believable.
And they've only done it 2 other times.
Were they all with Big Show?
I want to say the Big Show was part of all 3 of them. I want to say Show was the victim in all 3 of them. The one getting suplexed in all 3 of them.
Okay.
Because first it was Lesnar, then it was Mark Henry, then it was Braun Strowman.
Yeah, and that makes sense with those 3 guys. That's a lot of freaking meat, man. I mean, I don't know if you ever would have saw that back in the day, like back in Andre's day. Andre could throw drop. He could do athletic stuff when he was younger, but I think he did more of the big lumbering giant type,
Well, yeah, that's what he was known for.
I know Big Show when he was in WCW, he used to do drop kicks and shit, and they would tell him, hey, you're a giant, you're a monster, you're not supposed to be flying through the air, like.
That's like watching the War Raiders now in NXT.
I have to look them up. I don't think I've seen them.
Yeah. They're gonna be DLC for the game, so you'll see them eventually. The
big guys that can move like that, man, they're so awesome, but at the same time, you can't help but think of them as like actual. It's like, first of all, how does that wear on their body doing stuff like that at a bigger size? And second of all, how much more chances there for risk? Or for getting hurt, like... I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's still cool to see, though.
Oh. Well, this has been an interesting one. I find the differences in our lists quite interesting. I think the fact that we had the same number 4 is just completely bizarre.
And it was the one that I thought we'd have too. We both have on our list.
Right. So this has been fun.
Well, it's always fun to discuss these things, man, because especially the specific types of holds. Because it's a completely different animal than like a power bomb or something. Like you were saying at the top of the show, completely different type of storytelling.
And I think between the two of us, we covered a lot of different types of submissions between, head, arms, legs, back.
Well, there's two that you didn't have on your list that I thought you would have at least one of them. And that was the yes lock and the figure four.
I really considered the figure four. Really, really did. But then you think about the yes lock, and it's almost the same as the crossface.
Yeah, it is. And the figure four, I mean, let's be frank. How many people have you ever seen win a match with the figure four? Including Ric Flair.
Exactly.
Iconic.
Greg Valentine.
True.
Greg Valentine.
Ronnie Garvin.
Used it.
Yep.
The Miz had it handed down to him from Flair.
I'm sure Styles used it in TNA when they were doing that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Charlotte has that god-awful... I love Charlotte. She's one of my favorite wrestlers, period. But I do not like her finish. I don't like the figure eight anyway.
No, it's ridiculous looking, but we've already talked about that in a previous episode.
Yeah. That's what we need to do one time, is the worst submissions. That can be fun.
It's the worst finishers, period.
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, all opinion pieces. Just two guys having a discussion.
Yeah, if we were discussing, like, the greatest overall, submissions of all time, I think the figure four would be one of them, just because of how iconic it is.
Oh, without question.
But I don't. Apparently, it's the same thing for your case. It didn't really register in lieu of all the other options out there.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been TGW Turnbuckle Talk, episode number 6. Still really loving doing this, man. Can't wait to figure out some more topics to discuss. Get some more of our opinions out there. Hopefully have some feedback from the fans. Speaking of which, we would love to know your top 5 favorite submissions of all time. So when this video pops up in your feed on YouTube or Facebook, please drop some comments and let us know.
Yeah.
Speaking of YouTube and Facebook, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TGWrestling. You can find us on Twitter at ThoseGuys734. You can find me on Twitter at EvilPenguin1981. And you can find this guy on Twitter at
OddSmith311.
As always, subscribe on YouTube. You can find the TGW YouTube, the BTV YouTube. We're gonna make sure that we start getting this TGW YouTube really, really up and running.
Yeah, I haven't messed with it since the end of the TGW season.
Yeah, we need to get some content uploaded there. We'll probably upload my career mode for 2K19. I think we should upload your crazy ass universe mode, so people can go back and watch that. So, because who doesn't want to watch Jason Voorhees versus Santa Claus?
And I just extended it to 2 shows too.
And we're gonna start having your 2K19 universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 6 championships per episode, brother.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Custom Money in the Bank briefcases.
They got some of it right.
It's gonna be so much fun. So, for OddSmith311, I am Evil Penguin Gaming, signing off. And as always, together, we have been. Count it down with me. A 1, a 2, a 3.